Hello and welcome to Local Lives. I am Mihalis.
And I'm Megan. We're your hosts, bringing you stories from the heart of the community as we celebrate 125 years of Clarion.
Today we're exploring the idea of community in a slightly different way. We're joined by one of our Clarion residents, Andrew, who is here to give us his perspective on his local community. Andrew, it's a pleasure to have you with us today.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me. I'm really excited today. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Well, we'll kickstart with some quickfire questions, if that's okay.
Okay.
Not to put you on the spot. Are you a cat person or a dog person?
I'm a dog person. However, I did have a cat that I called Dog because it used to follow me around the house like a dog. So wherever I went, it was like a dog. So it was called Dog. So does that answer your question?
Yeah.
And if you had a superpower, what would that be?
Ooh, mathematics.
Well, that's a good one.
Yeah.
What about your favourite meal of the day?
Oh, I do like dinner and I do cook a lot of Japanese food. So sometimes I prep food 2 days before. So I'll make the sauces and so on and plan everything. So yeah, to me, making Japanese food is really, really enjoyable because it's all about balance. It's not a lot of food, it's small amounts, it's very humble. But the taste and the sensation of the food is just mind-blowing. So yeah,
A man of many talents then.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that.
And our final quickfire question is, have you got a dream holiday destination?
It would be Japan. It would be Japan. I would like to actually go to Japan, see how food is done there. What would be probably very different how we have it in the Western world. No doubt it's our probably interpretation, but how is street food in Japan? That's what I love to do.
Brilliant. Well, we've introduced you in your capacity as a Clarion resident. Can you tell us a bit more about yourself?
Yeah, I'm 52 years old. I used to work for the NHS and I've had various careers and so on. And a few years ago, I had a partner and unfortunately it became quite a toxic relationship. It was an abusive relationship. And I stayed in the relationship because I was living in hope that things would change. And there was a strong alcohol dependency that they had. And I lived in hope. And unfortunately, over time, things got worse, physically and mentally for me. And it was affecting my health. And doctors and social workers were asking me to sort of consider my options, what I should do. And it came to a point where something serious really happened. And the police sort of said, look, it's time, it's now for you to leave. It's not safe for you now. It's now happened more than once now. And for your own safety, you need to go. And I was in total shock at that point. It was literally like a bomb went off in my mind because it was something I didn't want to happen, but it had got to that stage. And I went to a place of safety, and then I got told that I would be going into a men's refuge. And of course, like anybody, you would Google it and then see horror stories about how bad men's refuges are and not pleasant and so on. So I had a degree of concern about where was I going to go. I didn't know. And based on the safety aspect, you don't get told the address until 2 hours before you end up in the property. I was very fortunate that it was a Clarion property, because when I arrived outside the property, I was a bit like, oh dear, this is not going to be good. Okay, walked in. It changed my life. Totally, absolutely changed my life. It gave me an opportunity to go to sleep, breathe, and feel a little bit more human, and not to walk on eggshells, and just to breathe. And the property was amazing, but the biggest thing to me was the safety aspect of the house. It was safe. Everything was thought about in the property. It was well decorated. So it was walking into a place that I would wish for in the future. That's how it felt. It's like, this is a home I would love to live in all my life. It's perfect. So I was very fortunate as well. I had a very good support worker, and I was well supported by Clarion. Everything was in place. The staff were friendly, understanding, there was a big problem with any sort of domestic situation as a man. There's a lot of stigma like, well, you're a man, you're in a refuge. But the staff on the phone understanding and actually would listen, just purely listening to the situation. And at the time I wasn't sure what to do. Do I still sort of like proceed with things? Do I go back? Yeah. So that's my journey, and I now have a lovely place now. I've moved. I feel settled, but that opportunity to breathe was life-changing. Now I have a new life in effect. I've got a fresh start. So thank you to Clarion.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing your story with us, Andrew, as well.
So it sounds like community is important to you, whether it's online or offline. So how important do you think that is to you?
Oh, incredibly important to me. I've always done something in the community. I've been a local authority councillor for a little parish council, and I stood as an independent. I didn't stand for any party. I just wanted to stand for the community and to be the community voice. And we had little projects and so on within the village. We ended up having a little play area built, and again that was community funded, and money was raised. As well, the village became sort of classed as Britain's second friendliest village. What was nice, because we used to have barbecues and so on. And it was with the social housing and private housing, there was at the start a social divide. It was they've got those properties and we had to buy our properties. But by purely having barbecues and so on, it brought everybody closer, and people start to realise they have things in common. So although that's a social housing there and they probably don't work, well, actually everybody does typically go to work, and have jobs and have careers and family. It's the way that people live now. Some people can't afford to get on the housing ladder, can't afford a mortgage. So maybe an option is to rent. And you could go private landlord or go social housing. Personally, I'd rather go with social housing. I think you get a better service, a bit more reassurance in regards to your rent increases and how things will be supported in your home for the future as well, and the maintenance. So personally, I'm a big fan of social housing for that peace of mind. I think it's really important.
So with that in mind, with your impression of the services you had the opportunity to use, what do you think are the type of community support that you're hoping to see in the future?
I would like to see more in the future of housing officers being a bit more knocking on your door, if you wish. I mean, I'm quite happy for my housing officer to come around and knock on my door. Some people, maybe not, and that's your choice. But I would like to see more from a point of view of having hand-to-hand handshake with my housing officer. Because obviously because of COVID, we started to become very isolated from each other and everything's done remotely and so on. And I think if personally, I like to know my housing officer and invite him in. Come in and I have this problem, can this be sorted out? I don't have no worries about that. Somebody coming to my door and coming in. I would like them to come in because, it's maybe harder for me because of my dyslexia and autism to try to explain something over the phone or do an email. So personally, I would expect somebody to come in and go, this is my problem. Do you see this? Can this be fixed? So that's what I would like to happen more, and more community projects as well, where, for example, when I was saying about the park area, if there is a development and there's a lot of children, maybe getting the community involved in little projects, maybe a day centre for the kids to go to, or after school clubs, play some type of role. That's what I would like to see in the future, more of.
So you've mentioned a couple of things that were really important. So first of all, the service you received from the refuge, and then the COVID, which is an experience that we all had. So how do you think community helped you during those experiences?
I think how the community helped me was more of not feeling ashamed of my situation. I learnt a lot by just telling people of my situation, what I was in and so on, and I was shocked. I was really shocked how much help, support was out there. And I didn't realise that a Clarion Housing would actually be quite sort of concerned about my situation. I thought they would just go, there's the property, here's the keys, bye-bye. That wasn't the situation. It was a general care. How are you feeling? I actually at the time went through a lot of operations, and some were quite major operations, and the staff were great. And I think as well, maybe people don't realise that there is other sides to a housing association that provide a massive service to support people at time of need. I would urge anybody, if you're in a situation that you feel that you need to talk to somebody. It doesn't matter if you're a woman or a man. If you need help, get help, because it's not what you read on the internet. It's totally different, and it could change your life for the better.
That's amazing. So in terms of the work you're doing now, Andrew, what would your aspirations be for the future?
I would actually like to work for a housing association. I've worked for the NHS as an engagement officer. I would like to use those skills as an engagement officer in social housing, and use the things that I've learned over the years regards to like communities, but as well my disability, make people more aware of autism and Asperger's and how to support somebody and how to engage with somebody, or even a parent that has a child that is being diagnosed with autism and they're having a difficult time to explain, yes, well, I was like that. Things will improve, but you just have to give it time and try these different things, and this has worked for me, and my kids are on the spectrum, and those things that you learn as a parent, and sometimes I feel that it's a good idea to share tips and tricks that work, and especially in a workplace as well, there will be somebody that may be on the spectrum, and people just being aware maybe, that bright light in the corner of the room is not going to be great for them, and maybe a quieter place, in the corner of the office could be ideal, so that's what I like to do, a business in a way of looking at how you can improve the office environment, how you can improve the home environment. That's what I like to do.
Amazing. Well, I've no doubt, Andrew, that you would excel in that role. So we wish you all the best, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andrew. It's been lovely.
It's been a great day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And that's it for another episode of Local Lives. We hope you've enjoyed today's show, and we hope to see you at the next one.